Hello everyone, Justin here, and today we are going to draw something simple, a goldfish. And as you know, goldfish come in different shapes, but let's go ahead and try drawing one. Let's start with the nose and just kind of a 45-degree line that's somewhat curved, and turn around a little bit with a small curve for the mouth. And it's going to go in just a little bit here for now. Right underneath, we're going to come off it and start drawing the under chin here and the bottom of its belly, and it's going to come up kind of rounded here. So let's go up and round it off a bit. So right here, just above the level of the mouth, will be our circle. That'll be his eye. So let's just draw a circle right there. And inside then is a big pupil. And we'll just blacken that out. Alright, so behind the eye then will be the gill. So we'll just draw a nice curve right behind. Alright, so now we're going to continue this back, his back, up going this way, past this edge of his belly. So it's going to come up to about here. So let's just put a dot there just so we know where we're going. In fact, let's just go from here. We'll go up and go this way. And it makes it easier because then here's our target. We can see that without our hand blocking it, so we can just go and meet it. Okay, so it's not a perfectly smooth line here, and it depends, it varies from goldfish to goldfish, as I mentioned. Continuing on, we'll go ahead and go towards his tail just like this, coming off the belly here, and we can smooth this out a little bit more later, like that. And from here then the tail will actually start. So from here we're gonna go pretty far out. So let's just go ahead and draw that line now, and don't make it perfectly straight. I kinda made it a little bit too straight there, but it doesn't matter. So between here in the middle, we'll go ahead and draw another line that goes curving upward. So going out first and then curving up, and then a line that goes up, and then starting from right about here somewhere, we'll draw another line and then curve it out for the end of the tail. So then here, the bottom of its tail, we're gonna make it go down quite a bit. So let's go down, and here we're gonna have a kind of a jagged edge, but we're going to have a curve that goes kind of like here, but we'll make it kind of jagged. So let's just use a jagged line, but more or less following a curve. And we'll continue that kind of going up and meeting that line up there. And we're going to fill this in later with a thinner pen. But anyway, so then back here then we'll have an anal fin. So let's just kind of indicate that a little bit, and it's gonna kind of meet up with this tail fin. And we'll also have a dorsal fin. So if starting from right above where the gill is, up here, we're gonna go upward this way. So let's just go up. Alright, and then the back end of the dorsal fin will be back here. So let's just draw a curve that goes out and then up. So just like what we did here with the tail fin, we're going to go ahead and draw a line that basically meets this curve here, but with a jagged line. Okay, so let's just kind of make a curve here. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight or curved. You don't want it to be straight, but it can be very irregular. Alright, so now we've got a pectoral fin which comes off right here. So let's just go from here down, and then this is where it attaches to the body, so we'll put a little bit of a curve there and then go across, and then just like here again, we're gonna make the end of this fin a little bit jagged, but again following a curve. In this case, we're not going to be able to see the other fins. It'll be hidden by his body. Alright, so now we've got another fin down here. I believe this would be the pelvic fin, but I don't know. We'll see. Right about here, right about where the pectoral fin ended, we'll go ahead and draw a line going down. Okay, and then the other side of the fin would be up here, and same thing, except we're not going to make this too curved like out here, but a little bit straighter. Again, jagged line, and make it somewhat uneven, and then meet up with that bottom line here. We're pretty much done with the goldfish itself. Like I said, there are a lot of different types of goldfish with different fins, different sizes. This is just one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and take my finer line pen and start adding some detail, especially the fins. So here's the back end of the dorsal fin, and here's the front. So initially the lines are going to go like this, and then by the time we get to the back, the lines will be like this. Okay, so we're just going to add a bunch of lines that kind of go all the way to the trailing edge, and you can make this a little bit uneven and start slanting your lines until you're here and you meet up evenly with the back line. Alright, so let's go to the tail. And again, we'll do the same thing. We're going to follow lines going this way. Okay, so let's just do one right in the middle, right off the bat, and add a bunch of thin lines that go and follow the length of the tail fin. And they're not going to be perfectly parallel to each other, of course, because the width of the tail itself varies in width. Okay, so here there's a little bit of a separation between this part of the fin and this part. That's why we included this thick line going in a short distance. So anyway, we'll continue on adding some thin lines here. Let's go on to this fin. Again, same idea. We're going to start right about here and just go down. And these lines here are going to be closer together than the dorsal fin, as you already noticed. And again, we're going to have to flare out a little bit here, just a little bit, just because it's a little bit wider out here. Okay, and the direction of these lines just kind of flare out from this narrowest point all the way to the back until you get to this point, and it's basically parallel to that initial line we had put over there. I'm going to add extra lines right here just to show that it's behind this particular part of the tail fin. So it's acting as a shadow, and I'm going to add a few more lines here to fill it in, right there and here. This part is not an exact science, of course. Alright, we're just trying to put in details to show that it's goldfish and that these are fins. Kind of a graphic style, and We'll do the same thing with this fin right here, and again fairly close space lines. And here same thing, these lines are going to flare out to the trailing edge of the pelvic fin. So my guess is this part right, this fin right here is the anal fin, because it's kind of farther back. Alright, and again I'm going to add some extra lines under here just to kind of somewhat indicate that it's underneath the belly, and so there will be a shadow, and I'll actually do that too for this, what I'm going to assume is the anal fin. Okay, and finally this pectoral fin. Let's just go ahead and add some detail here. Alright, now just to indicate that right now what we have is a two-dimensional representation of a fish that's actually quite round with these simple lines. So I'm going to go ahead and add some shadows, cast shadows, just to make this drawing pop a little bit. So like right here, this tail of course is rounded, so there'll be a shadow right underneath here. So I'm just going to indicate that in this drawing with some parallel lines here. So here's our shadow line. This part is to indicate that this part's darker, and then as it curves up to this point, it's catching light, so this is going to be lighter. So another line here, and I'm going to add some crosshatch. And I'm going to do the same thing here with this big belly. I'm going to add actually a little bit more shadow line there, and right here. So I'm going to keep this part somewhat lighter, so I'm just going to have the shadow line go a little bit lower here, but then I'm going to go like this. So this whole part here will be darker, and then I'm kind of trying to separate the body from the gill face area. Alright, so let's go ahead and put in our parallel lines. There's all sorts of different techniques for shadowing, for putting in your shading using a pen, and I tend to vary it quite a bit depending on my mood, which is usually feeling like I don't have a lot of time, or I don't want to spend a lot of time on a drawing, so I'll just rush it. Okay, so what I'm talking about is, say here, this part right here, the way I'm shading it is kind of in a strict way, trying to keep the lines fairly even, all the same direction. Okay, so then the next step would be the next level of cross hatching, and I'm just going to help myself here by adding a shadow line so I know where to add it. So I'm going to start all the way here, different direction. Okay, and again I'm trying to be a little bit stricter here. This would be formal cross hatch shading technique right here, and I'll do that all the way up here. Alright, so we'll do a third level now, yet a different direction, and I'm just gonna eyeball it this time as far as how high I need to go with this. Of course you can also draw a shadow line just like I did with the first couple layers. Alright, so now let's just add a little bit of a shadow here, and this time I'm gonna indicate the shadow with some loose squiggly lines. Okay, and right here as well there's going to be a cast shadow here. I could do a fourth layer of crosshatch, but what I'm going to do here is squiggly lines, just repeating lines here to make this area darker, And this is what I mean by a looser style, which is what I tend to gravitate to, honestly. Same with it right here. I'm gonna mess up what I did prior and just kind of put squiggly, sketchy lines for the shadows. Okay, makes it a little bit looser. Alright, so let's just put in a little bit of shading here for the eye, some tone so it's not just white, and maybe vary the thickness here around the eye, give it a little bit of a shadow. Alright, what I'm also gonna do here is kind of indicate with a couple lines here, like where the gills would be. The gills right here, but there's some the surface here is not perfectly flat, so that's why I added some lines here. Alright, so now because it's a goldfish, it's got pretty distinct scales. I'm gonna go ahead and indicate some of those scales, and the way we do it is with just some crescent lines, crescent shaped lines. And I'm not gonna do this over the whole thing, but just part of it. Okay, just like that. And I'm gonna just try to keep it sort of even if I can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And notice that up here they're not even touching each other, just because this part's lighter and I'm still trying to indicate a gradient, some shadowing, where this part's darker and it gets lighter. So here I'm gonna even make the lines for the scales a little darker, just to show that, just to indicate that. And you can be more precise than I'm being here, but I don't want to take too much time with this. So I'm just adding some curved lines right here to indicate the scales, and then again I'm gonna start separating the lines, maybe add some lines back here. Okay, and that's pretty much it. You can put as much detail as you want in this, or as little, but you still got to put in the enough details, anatomical features of course, to make it look like it's a goldfish. So thanks a lot for watching. I'll probably just go ahead and color this in later with Procreate, but I'll also put out another video where I shade this with a pencil, and again that'll just help to make the drawing pop out even more. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.